Do you want the most up-to-date fashion advice? It's all happening here on Star Times Channel 143.
With over 200 million people, Africa's largest economy has a story to tell. It's the story of an economy that has the ability to develop from a single better than IBrandTV.
Hello and welcome. This is Business Breakfast, coming to you live from our studio here in Lagos.
Business Breakfast, showing on weekdays at this time.
Good day to you wherever you're watching us from.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's a beautiful morning.
When the day breaks on IBrandTV, we serve you with informative talks on politics.
It is all politics.
Economy.
I am not a supporter of this government.
Sports.
Roads of Lagos seems to have been deserted. Standing roads of Lagos seems to have been deserted. Standing here on the Third Mainland Bridge, you can see that the roads are empty. No cars going, no cars coming. But this same route, if you take this road a day separate from today, you would most likely be facing a serious bottleneck of traffic. This is what happens when election comes to play. Everybody wants to play their part in choosing who will be their next leader.
Welcome back. It is still Nigeria Decides 2023, and at the moment we already have reports that vote counting has begun across Lagos State. And this will take us over to our senior correspondent, Paul Aiboji, to give us reports on how the counting has started. Hello, Paul. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for joining. Would you like us to know the situation reports around where you are? What's happening at this point?
Very well. This is quite unusual compared to what we saw in the presidential election, where at this time, some persons were still on the queue trying to cast their vote. Despite the fact that we understand that the time for elections is between 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. before until the last person on the queue cast his vote. But today we are seeing a very different situation because most of the polling units were visited just now. We discovered that they concluded voting. Results, ballot papers have been sorted, they've been counted, and results have been taken away. In one of the polling units precisely in Ojodu, that is Ward 2, Unit 92, we saw them transmitting the election results via Viva right now before they left.
Okay, Paul. So far, what would your assessment be about security and, of course, the voter turnout?
Talking about the turnout of electorate, of course, you understand that what we saw during the presidential election is quite different from what we are seeing today because there's actually voter apathy. Whether we like it or not, we have to accept the fact that not too many persons came out for this election. It may be for their own reasons. It may be to what they think. Possibly, like some of the persons that we've heard, that people, most of the electorate had interest in the presidential election, and after the presidential election, they decided to stay put in their various in their houses and not want to come out to vote. Now, talking about security, most of the places we went to actually saw security agents on the ground. But that is not to say that there were no signs of violence in some areas. In one of the areas that we ended up visiting today, we saw broken bottles all over the places, some fully units and all that. As for now, the for activities in the polling unit. This is to say that we're not too sure, but one can envisage that very soon we're going to be seeing results coming in into the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, meaning the collation center, where the results for this election will be announced. That is to say, I don't think it's going to be taking much time to announce the results for this election.
Okay, so far so good. We are having it clear and fair, all the way from our senior correspondent, Paul Aigboji. Thank you, Paul, and when we need you again on reports, we're sure going to beckon on you. So back to my guest, Ake Fatoke, speaking about the architecture of the election at the moment. But what would your submission be on INEC and the electoral conduct so far?
Which is a summary of what
he was going to ask. He was asking.
Joshua was going to ask, and you noticed, please my apologies, I was going to do jumping.
Yeah.
I was just going to tell you, Joshua, Damilola, the process by which you get to a desired result is as important, if not much more important than the results themselves. That is the school that I come from.
The process, that's the caveat here.
The process. So if the process says, for instance, I have to clamp my hand, I have to do this, you don't believe in that process, but if that is the process, I must be seen to do that. Even if now, it's also possible that that process that I've told you that I'm going to do, for one reason or the other, I am not able to do it. I get a call it force majeure, is that what lawyers call it?
Yes, that's it.
Or an act of God and all that kind of stuff. It behoves on me come out and communicate that.
As an umpire.
Yes! Because if you don't do that, people will not understand. When I say communicate in English, communicate in Creole, communicate in Pidgin, communicate in Fulfulde.
Diverse languages.
So that everybody... Now, after doing all that, communication is never enough. There will still be some people beyond the fence. So they might not say, I didn't hear you, or I didn't hear you well, and stuff like that. The important thing is for you to now come back of a balance. The first thing you do, Damilola, Joshua, I'm sorry, a few minutes ago, you noticed that, the air pressure went off, or, blah, blah, blah.
Turbulence. It was tough.
The reason is because of A, B, C, D that will have crashed us now. It's going to be my word against what you believe. However, we are going to get to a particular destination where we are going to be making some
Decisions.
some emergency landing, and I will now be explaining. That did not happen. I am afraid because that did not happen, casts a lot of doubt on the capacity and the intent of INEC. The jury is not yet fully out. Hopefully the court is going to go through all that gamut of the process. Why you said, for instance, the beavers worked, captured and eliminated multiple voting and was not loaded onto IREL on a particular instance, whereas in the same instance, the same election,
House of Assembly.
it got loaded. Damilola, I have a fair idea. I have a fair idea why that will not be. But it's not for me. Mine is still a conjecture. Is it that something extraordinary happened and you are not prepared to let us know as at that time until we get an emergency landing, and then because we want to make us understand that the people, talk about missiles and Scud missiles and anti-missiles and stuff like that may affect these other elections. Time will tell. So I agree with you, Joshua, and that's why I was going to interrupt you. Hey, come on. As far as I'm concerned, it's a no-brainer. If you said this is what you are going to do, if that is the process that we have told the whole wide world we are going to go through, and we haven't gone through that process, and we have not gotten explanations why
we didn't go through that process.
Why didn't go that process, even though we landed at a destination? Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Damilola, I don't know if you have a mom, a grandmother.
Oh, she's late.
The grandmother will tell you one of the things is a blind man and somebody who is physically cannot hear. They want to enter a partnership to fry groundnuts. The blind man must ensure that while that is going on, the one that is deaf keeps on whistling. If he doesn't whistle, the thinking will be that maybe some of those groundnuts are going into the wrong hands. And trust. Trust is a very thin line that if you do not go through that process, if A does not follow B and B follows C and it does not go beyond Z, it can happen. You can have AZ. You
can have ZA.
There are possibilities. But if you have said that is the way it should go, so I think what failed was the fact that communication, timely communication, communication again, to over communication, to make sure that all those things are in place.
But I think over the time, it has been a major deficit. It has been a deficiency in the Nigerian system that a lot of our leaders do not communicate to us as appropriately. And I think that it also borders on the path of accountability, saying, if you know what, if you have to go and give a submission every 4 months, every 6 months, please do it. But sometimes they seem like, oh, Nigerians don't care. And it's lingered on for too long, I would say, which has become a culture. Do you think we can have a change moving forward?
We must have a change. Damilola, we must have a change. Yes, people have not learned like the baboons of France. You've learned nothing, you've forgotten nothing, basically because with all what you do, you get some results that you should not get and stuff like that. That is now dwindling. I believe in this particular election, which I would like to describe even beyond June 12, 1993, is a major watershed where the voice of the voter
was heard.
Is supposed to be heard. We are not up to one man, one vote yet. When we do electronic voting and we are really sure that we are able to take care of hackers and what have you, nobody is going to tell you that you must communicate with us. We must understand that you communicate with us. If you don't communicate timely, if you don't communicate for us to understand, we are going to wait for you on a particular day. We are going to get whatever it is that you want to give us. And we are going to tell you, so you are coming back to us this time? Sorry.
There's no way.
There is no way. What? I want you to mark it. Damilola, this is my own prescription.
Okay.
This is my own projection. Whether at the federal, whether at the state, whether at the National Assembly, whether at the state assemblies, whether at the local government levels, you are going to see more engagement of communication. The constitutional recall is very tedious. I think it remains tedious. With this election that we have seen, I like to say to politicians, dare it. You will be shocked and surprised. So you must come. If you've done something that is not okay, raise your hands and say you have not done it right or well, you are sorry, you are not going to allow that to happen again. And you must, if some things have gone down the line, you get back to the
amends.
I, as a communicator, believe that whether at the board level in private sector, whether in the public sector, whether in community, whether in church, mosques, shrines, this adequate communication that must be hinged on truth. 2 must be equal to 2 plus 2 must be equal to 4.
Clearly.
4 plus 4 must be equal to 8. If it is anything different, you got to either come to prove to us that it's a binary system you are using or some other system that you are using. Or you come out and say, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm sorry. I am occupying this seat. It just didn't occur to me that I should have known much more depth. I am sorry about it. And you know what? When that communication begins to flow, nobody is going to tell you or tell me or tell Joshua that it's high time for you to carry your bag and baggage and say you are not fit for purpose. That is what I am beginning to see. And for people who believe that it's just for the taking, we need to go and do a post-mortem. They now know that it's not going to be
business as usual.
Business as unusual.
Oh, as unusual. Okay.
So
yes.
when you talked so much and exhaustively about communication, and I think it's key, especially when it comes to one driving a particular set of people as a leader, whether at the INEC level or as someone who presides over a state. Looking at the fact that we have seen cases where some certain leaders as governors of certain states have decided not to engage with the people. Do you see that as, a recipe to failure, especially when it comes to people voting such individual out or in?
I see it as a hazard waiting to explode.
Could that explain the reason why they did this rush hour reach out to the people? Perhaps thinking that might be a recipe for them to be kicked out.
Exactly. Pure. Simple. Simplistic. That is exactly it. Now, you refuse to engage with the people. You refuse out of some...
Could that be arrogance?
Some arrogance. Saying to yourself that I know what to do to make sure votes, I can find a way, either using truggery or whatever it is, votes.
Manipulations.
To manipulate things. It is dwindling. It is dwindling. My point, Joshua, to accentuate, is that you call them leaders, I call them rulers, because they are not educated. You see, you've got to have some level of education to appreciate some of the things we are saying here. It's not, they may be knowledgeable, they may have money, they may have whatever it is. There's something also they always forget, that you can sleep yesterday night and not wake up today. You've got to have some element of that knowledge for you to know that what if I don't wake up again? What if I jump into a plane and the plane comes down? You've got to have that emotional intelligence to be able to understand that. So you must understand the fact that if you are not engaging, and I talked about timely engagement. See what has happened lately? Oh, even though they say better late than never. So this is now the time for us to now do this. This is now the time for
damage
us to
control.
Damage control. That means you got that right. Look, let's do damage control. That means as a mother, sometimes you tell your child, don't say, "Mommy, come on, I am Generation Z," and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you want to leave that child alone. Let he or she go put his or her hand in fire. When the thing burns,
so far you're ready to dance to the music?
He has
to come back
or she has learned, which is where our education should be going, has learned something that who tests this boy or girl, you see the way and manner he or she will come to even beyond what you're actually talking about. So going forward, communication, do it timely. The rules are for man, not man for the rule, as the case might be. And the fact that if you do something with your left hand with the rule, let the right hand also have a compassion around that to explain, as in the example that we just stated now, son, daughter, I knew you were going to get your hand burned, but I told you are not going to listen, but I wanted you to go.
To experience firsthand.
When you experience firsthand, you've learned a lesson that you will now be able to teach your children and your children's children.
Which becomes transgenerational.
Better late than never. Now, I'm not going to make that point to them. You know, sometimes because of the mother thing.
The motherly love and the bond.
You now pity him. You didn't know. Now you know. Next time, there are certain processes, there are certain procedures you must follow. You must let me know certain things. I must be aware of certain things. Some things should not just if you are lucky enough.
All right, speaking of impact of